Well, let's go live now to Lakeshore Collegiate Institute, where Premier Doug Ford is speaking. Let's listen in.
For 2023-2024 school year, we're doubling them with more stops, more exhibitions, more for twice as many students. Starting next month, skilled trades career fairs will be held in 10 cities across the province. These fairs will let students explore their future in the skilled trades through interactive exhibitions, hands-on activities, and opportunities to engage with working tradespeople and local employers. It will give over 25,000 students and their families exposure to over 140 trades, from carpentry to welding, from metal fabrication to plumbing. And friends, this is just one of the many initiatives we're taking to connect more young people to good paying jobs and rewarding careers in the construction sector. We're investing in advertising and marketing campaigns to help end the stigma around the trades. We're exposing more young women and men to the trades by modernizing our school curriculum to include mandatory learning about the skilled trades. We've expanded Ontario's dual credit programs and are helping students start their apprenticeship training while still in high school. Together, these programs, these initiatives will help to educate students and parents about the rewarding opportunities in the skilled trades and help us develop a more diverse pipeline for the skilled talent. So together, we can build the cars, the factories, the homes, the hospitals, the roads, critical infrastructure that we need in every region of the province. Thank you again for joining us, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you.
We'll now go to reporters' questions. If you could please line up at the microphone behind me. Please identify yourselves by name and outlet. And just a reminder, it's one question and one follow-up. First question.
Yeah, hi, Premier. Randy Rath from CHCH-TV.
Hi, Randy.
The Integrity Commissioner found that Mr. Clark buried his head in the sand while his rookie chief of staff led a chaotic and almost reckless process that was marked by deception. Do you not believe in ministerial accountability like Mr. Clark used to demand from the Liberals when you guys were in opposition?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Randy. I have confidence in Minister Clark. He has a big file. I take full responsibility. The buck stops with me. Minister Clark did mention, and he'll be out today, we understand the process could be better, but our goal at the end of the day is to build 1.5 million homes at minimum. We're going to build them. We're going to do everything we can. We're going to use every single tool we can to make sure people like Preston can afford a home. And as Preston's building these homes, and I can't tell you, last night I had a phone call, and this is real. You know, I get phone calls all the time. This one gentleman, and I could tell he's a new Canadian, that he's been here for a number of years, but you know, he's losing his home because of the interest rates. And he can't afford a home. So we're going to build attainable homes. We're going to use modular units. We're going to use regular traditional build homes. We're leaving no stone unturned, but we're going to build those homes. That's the right thing to do.
You've now got two reports from officers of the legislature that found that select developers got an unfair advantage when the government decided which land should be freed from the Greenbelt. Isn't the only way that you can restore public confidence, which seems to be very low right now, in your government by returning those lands to the Greenbelt?
Well, first of all, that's not correct. The Integrity Commissioner said there was no due influence with any developers, and that was pretty clear in his report. So again, on the Greenbelt lands, I have a message to all the developers: get the shovels in the ground, get started. You know, here's another warning to you. I won't hesitate to put you back in the Greenbelt. I did it with the other land the other day, which I almost fell off my chair when I heard it was up for sale for an industrial park. Like the owners of the land, and I don't give two hoots who you are. If you don't follow the rules, you don't build homes, you don't start getting shovels in the ground, guess what? You're done, you're gone. Test me out, try me again. You're going back in the Greenbelt, because I'm fed up with it. Absolutely fed up with playing little games. And again, I don't care who you are. You're going back in the Greenbelt unless you start building homes. And again, try me.
Good morning, Premier. Rob Ferguson, Toronto Star.
Yeah.
Back to Minister Clark, and we're aware that he's doing a newser at 12:30 today, but
Yes.
I'm just wondering what your standards are for keeping a minister in cabinet. During the pandemic, a former finance minister went to St. Bart's when there were no travel restrictions, and he ended up walking the plank from his portfolio and left cabinet. But now we've got Minister Clark, who's been the subject of two damning reports, one from the Auditor General and another from the Integrity Commissioner, and he gets to stay. So what are your standards? Can you give us a delineation of how you look at this and what it would take for a minister to be fired or for you to ask for his resignation?
Well, I appreciate that, Rob. Again, Minister Clark has a tough job, and his goal is to continue building homes. I saw the report. I read a good chunk of it last night, and admittedly, the process could have been a lot better. And I agree. I'll have an opportunity to sit down again with Mr. Clark and discuss the matters. But our number one goal is to continue building these homes for people out there that are in desperate need. And we keep saying 500,000 people are coming to the province. Those are inaccurate figures. The feds came out, and it's not their fault, but it's probably closer to 600,000, 800,000 people are arriving here in Ontario. And then we're going to have a much bigger crisis if we don't start building homes.
So I didn't really get an answer to what the standards would be. I note that you keep saying the buck stops with me. Yesterday, Minister Clark said also the buck stops with me, but it appears in this case the buck stops with no one because he's still in his job. So where does the buck actually stop?
Well, again, at the end of the day, Rob, I'm responsible for everything that happens in the province, and I always make sure we hold our caucus and our ministers accountable to follow the mandate that we gave them. The mandate we gave Minister Clark was to build homes. We were elected on getting things done. We're going to get them done.
Hi there, Alan Hale from Queen's Park today. So the buck stops with you, the buck stops with Minister Clark, but there has been no consequences for anybody. Usually when people say that, that is an acceptance of responsibility. You didn't even want to fire Mr. Amato. So can you please explain, why are you keeping him in cabinet? Is he the indispensable man for you here? Are you putting his position over ethics?
No, I'm not at all. But we're going to work with Minister Clark like we work with the other ministers to fulfill our mandate. Our mandate is to build homes. It's as simple as that. And we're going to continue moving forward on that mandate of building 1.5 million homes.
Now, in the report, it's said that while Mr. Amato did not go around telling developers with words that the Greenbelt was being reopened, he did pretty much do everything to tell them with his deeds that it was happening. Now, considering that you were not going to fire Mr. Amato, and you're not going to fire Mr. Clark, apparently, are you saying that you are happy with the way that this was conducted? Is everything in here acceptable to you except for some rushing?
Yeah, no, actually, I think it's been very clear. I'm not happy with the process. We're fixing the process. We took the 14 recommendations off the Auditor General, and we're going to fix the process. Am I happy about the process? I'm not happy at all about it.
Hey, Premier, it's Charlie Pinkerton from the Trillium. In his report yesterday, the Integrity Commissioner described a pattern of deception by the Housing Minister's former Chief of Staff that included throwing around his superiors' names, including your own, to try and advance a policy initiative, the removal of land from the Greenbelt, that the Housing Minister himself was hesitant about. Before Ryan Amato resigned from his position, you were protecting him. Given this, which otherwise I think would be seen as a breach of trust, why were you protecting him? Was it because he was doing what you assigned him to?
Why am I protecting Minister Clark?
Protecting Ryan Amato before he resigned.
I wasn't protecting him. You know, at the time, the information I had, I believe until someone comes out and shows me something different, I'm going to stand by our team members. And Ryan Amato decided to step down. Mr. Clark Minister Clark is part of our team and will continue part of our team. And sorry, I'm just reading some of these quotes from on my phone from the Integrity Commissioner. Just one of them, in this matter, I find that neither Minister Clark or Mr. Amato had any close ties, relationship with any of the developers. In fact, I have found that the Premier's office staff were not provided the information and direction. The Premier's office was kept in the dark. You know, I could go on and on about it, but folks, at the end of the day, you know, I'm not happy with the process. We're changing the process, but I have to build these homes, and we're going to continue building the 1.5 million homes in every corner of this province. Because if I don't build these homes, the crisis that we're in is just going to get worse. And you know, we have some great municipal partners that are working with us. Some are having some challenges for one reason or another. I'm meeting with the federal infrastructure minister this afternoon, but right now, just think, if we didn't build homes, if the province didn't take the bull by the horns, it would be a disaster. We've stepped up. Yeah, has there been bumps in the road? Yes, there has been bumps in the road. But people are going to thank us years down the road for building the attainable, the affordable, nonprofit homes that we're going to be doing, and regular homes.
Is your government done with removing land from the Greenbelt?
Right now, I'm done with that, but I want to continue making sure that the lands that we took out of the Greenbelt, people start building on them. The builders need to start moving. I can't stress it enough. And sure enough, as you know, sure as I'm sitting here, one of them are going to screw up, guaranteed, and they're going back into the Greenbelt. I got to make something clear. All I care about is the average person, the people I talk to. A lot of politicians don't get to talk to. These people call me. I don't know how they get my number, but they call me, they talk to me, I meet them in the streets, I meet them in the plazas, and they're struggling. I don't give two hoots about these developers, but they're part of the system. The builders build. What do you want me to do? But I won't hesitate to throw them back in the Greenbelt. And that's a small sliver, by the way. This Greenbelt, everyone's making such a big deal about. It's a sliver compared to the big problem we have. You know, 50,000 homes compared to 1.5 million homes. And, you know, that's all I want to do is help people. I have no other agenda but to help the common people get an apartment, a condo, a townhome, a detached home. And that's all I care about. That's the only thing I care about.
Good morning, Premier. Colin DeMello with Global News. A lot of people watching right now, a lot of people want to know directly from you. Give us a sense. What does it take for someone in the Ford government to actually be fired?
Well, again, I know, Colin, where you're going with this. I'm going to have confidence in Mr. Clark, and I have confidence in my other ministers. We're going to move forward with building homes. That's it.
What people are seeing here after this Integrity Commissioner and Auditor General's report is nothing but incompetence, right? From the Chief of Staff who decided to rush through a process, to the Housing Minister who looked away because he thought it was going to be too politically sensitive, to a Premier who directed his Housing Minister to open up the Greenbelt after promising Ontarians that you would never touch the Greenbelt. But Premier,
okay.
At what point do you take personal responsibility here, and how are people to have trust in your leadership?
Well, thank you for that, Colin, and I'm sure you just walked down the street from your home, that you have a home. But do you know how many people don't have a home, Colin? There's hundreds, there's hundreds of thousands of people that there's hundreds of thousands of people that don't have homes. And yes, when 2018, we didn't have a housing crisis. Do you know why we didn't have a housing crisis, Colin? Because there was no jobs here. People weren't coming here. Because the last government lost 300,000 jobs. There was no interest in coming to Ontario. But now, since we've been in office, we've created an environment and condition for people around the world to come to Ontario. Let me finish, Colin. To come to Ontario. When we have a housing crisis, I have two options, Colin. I sit back like the other government did and let the whole province fall apart, or we move forward and we build homes. Because I know you, Colin, a year down the road, if we don't have the homes, you're the first person that's going to be up here saying, why didn't you build the homes? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Well, Colin, guess what? We're going to build homes. We're going to build homes until people have the same opportunity that you have. You have a nice home down the street, but guess what? There's hundreds of thousands of people that don't have your opportunity, that don't have the good paying job that you have. That's the difference.
Hi, Premier Siobhan Morris from CTV News.
Hi, Siobhan.
I think, to follow up on Colin's question, I don't think that people love the idea of you attacking reporters for where they live. I don't have a home, and I think it's the same thing. How can people have confidence in your government when we see gross incompetence reported both by the Auditor General and by the Ethics Commissioner now about the way that this process was delivered, and you say the buck stops with you, and really there's no change made on the part of the government that the public sees?
Siobhan, first of all, I've been dealing with Colin for 10 years. I give him the utmost respect, and it works both ways. You don't attack me, I don't attack him, but you know something? We've known each other for 10 years. Do we see eye to eye on things some days? Yes, some days we don't. So I'm sorry if I offended his feelings. And Siobhan, you need a home, don't you? You said you don't own a home? That's why we need to build 1.5 million homes. It's as simple as that. And I have confidence in my ministers.
The Integrity Commissioner has recommended a reprimand of Steve Clark. If you say that you are being accountable, the buck stops with you, will you and your government vote in support of that reprimand?
Well, that's going to go to the legislature, and we'll see when we get back into the House in September.
This will be the last question.
Hi, Lorenda Redikoff with CBC News. Reading this report, this is a minister who wasn't doing his job, and that's on your most important file, building those 1.5 million homes. This sounds like a bad deal for taxpayers. They weren't getting their value out of this minister. So what do you say to them?
Well, what I say to those taxpayers, we're building homes. And those same taxpayers, if you don't own a home, you're going to be able to buy a home. What I say to people that are going to look to buy a home, we're going to have an opportunity to go out there and buy an attainable home, have an affordable home, nonprofit homes. We're going to create more rentals. That's what we're going to do. Folks, we have two choices. We walk away and throw up the white flag and say we aren't building. Leave it up to the municipalities to do. Leave it up to the federal government. That's not what we're about. We're a government that gets things done. That's the reason we're leading the world, leading North America in job creation, economic development. It's not because we sit on our hands. It's because we get the job done. We move forward. And what's one of the most important things right now, a crisis that we're seeing, is people that can't afford a home. We have asylum seekers. We have immigrants coming here. I got a call from one of my MPPs out in Aurora that there's 50 people living in churches' basements. I have 170 people in church basements up in Rexdale. You know, you can sit there and go back and forth, or you can get it done. We're going to get it done as a government. We're going to build homes. Thank you.
Follow up, the Integrity Commissioner's report showed that you sent the Housing Minister a mandate letter shortly after the last election. Why didn't you campaign about opening up the Greenbelt and these land swaps?
Well, I think I've answered this before, but I'll answer it again. You know, in the last election, we didn't have a housing crisis. And just up to a few months back, I didn't know the federal government was going to bring in over 500,000. Now we learn that those aren't accurate numbers. It's probably up to 800,000 arriving. Like, I didn't get a phone call from the minister. I didn't get a phone call from the prime minister saying, surprise, surprise, we're dropping these many people into your province. And by the way, good luck, you deal with them. That's the reason we have to make sure that we use every tool in our toolbox to build homes. So I ran on getting it done. I ran on building homes, making sure that we're building transit and infrastructure in schools and hospitals. And guess what, folks? We're the only government. We do what we say we're going to do. Some people may not like it, but we're going to get it done. Thank you.
Well, we've been listening to Premier Doug Ford speaking to reporters at Lakeshore Collegiate Institute, initially making an announcement about doubling career fairs to help more people enter the skilled trades. But as you saw, spent the majority of the press conference answering questions about the Greenbelt controversy.